So today I think it's an important discussion. It's a comprehensive discussion. It's going to be a philosophical discussion. I think we're going to border on spirituality. I don't like to use the term spirituality because it's often associated with organized systems. I personally don't follow an organized system, but I've developed my own system based on my experiences. It's a little windy, you might get some feedback. Why is there so much wind, Paris? Can't you turn off the wind system on the earth? No, I cannot. Okay, now, today there are so many things to talk about that I have notes. I have stopped using notes quite a while ago. Okay, what I'm going to tell you, I'm not telling you, I don't want to tell you what to do. Sometimes I come across like that, but that's just the way I talk. I'm not telling you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. A. B, if you're going to make a change in your life, try not to be rash. Try not to be too drastic unless it's necessary. Try to have a plan, have a strategy. If you've made plans before and you've never followed through, you might have to push yourself a little bit. See ya, honey. I'm leaving. This time for good. So my understanding is we all came here to graduate. That life on earth is a school, a place to learn. That's my basic understanding. So you go to school, and you go to grade 1, and you graduate, and you go to grade 2, and you graduate, right? And they're pretty easy. You go to grade 12, more important. A little more work. Then you might go to college. A little more work. You got to know what you want. They have certain requirements, certain GPA. You might go to university. University depends on the university. Different requirements depend on your curriculum, on your department. If you study philosophy, there's a certain requirement. If you study engineering, there's a different requirement. We understand that. Now, translate that to a life system. School as a living organism. So, you incarnate into a body, a curriculum. I am the curriculum, and I must fulfill my curriculum or I won't go to the next level. Now, the more you come here, the more difficult it should get, right? Based on your grades and based on what you've come here to learn. But coming here is a choice. You came here. No one forced you to be here. You said, I want to learn X, Y, Z, and I want to go to this system, and I want to incarnate in a human body because I'm really stupid. That was a joke, a primitive joke. Okay, you incarnate, you have chosen to incarnate. So this is another one of my understandings. I can't really prove it. Some people know. Some people can feel it. If you've done the work, you agree with me because you chose this life. So there's an issue I have with this system, this planet, is because we're telling people that you are forced to live here, you are forced to suffer until the arrival of the Savior, you are sinful, you are no good. That's, and then there's the hedonistic view is enjoy your life, do whatever you want, there's no cost or consequence. But that's not my understanding. My understanding is we've chosen a life, an incarnation, and we've chosen experiences to help us learn something. So we are going through terrible marriages because there's something about those relationships that we want to learn. We have taken the life of a celebrity because we want to contribute something to a large group, because we think that that is the way to raise the vibration. As an example, I don't know. Right? So we've chosen the life rather than we've been forced into it. Now, maybe because you didn't like your original choice, you've been kind of nudged or forced into your career, into your family situation, and so you feel like that's not my choice. But maybe it is your choice, you just haven't embraced it and you needed a push. So it doesn't feel like your choice because fame just happened to me and the baby just came out of my thing down there and the money all dried up and I was homeless. It's not my fault. I was forced into this life. My perspective is that's what you chose on a higher level. And things happen at certain scales, at certain ages. So at age X to X, X to Y, you have this kind of life, and then something happens. You get married, you become bankrupt. And then Y to Z, you become famous. And then there's a scandal. It's all there, it's all planned. So the question is, are you learning from those pre-arranged, those preset, those previously decided by you? That's the key. I can't prove it. I can't prove it. But the more work you do on yourself, the more you learn about why you're here, the happier you are, because you realize that most of the things you're doing, you came here to do. And some careers are a vehicle. You may have a terrible career, but that's a vehicle for you to do something else. So that vehicle, that family situation that's terrible, the brother with autism and the wife that's on heroin, or whatever it is, as terrible as it is, that particular life gives you an opportunity to do other things. So you have to do some things you don't like to do the things that you do like. In other words, you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's an old saying. It goes into spirituality. So where do I get my spirituality from? Because I'm not spiritual. Because my experience is I've been to the other side. I've had death experiences. And that's where I met people, and that's where I learned things, right? That there is another side. And they've told me, you got to go back. I said, but I like it here. I like it on the other side. It's much nicer. Yeah, here's your contract, Paris. Looks like you didn't fulfill everything. You did pretty good, but not good enough. Get the hell out of here. So you want to graduate. So again, my theme is you want to graduate. Now you may be a journalist, you may be a politician, you may be a writer, you may be an engineer, you may be a guy lifting boxes, you may be a gardener, housewife, unemployed, you might be in a mental institution. The system doesn't care. The system doesn't care where you are, because to the system, it's irrelevant. It's equal. It's equal. So a billionaire is equal to an engineer and to a teacher, to the system, because that is appropriated to the individual. So the individual who came here to be a billionaire is accrued the billionaire status. The person who came here to be a teacher is accrued the teacher status. The person who came here to be an engineer is accrued the engineer status, and across the board. So the system says they have been accrued, they have been attributed. These are newer, I'm using different words here. Allocated. You have been allocated the life that you have pre-decided. So the system says that they're the same. Because in the system, there's no greater or lesser. There's just the proper allocation. Have you been allocated the resources you need to live your life, right? So it's like you want to make a sandwich, you need bread, you need some mayonnaise, you need some ham, to make a ham sandwich, you need some cheese, right? And then you get to make a ham sandwich. To make a beef bourguignon, you don't need bread and ham and cheese, because you can't make beef bourguignon. You need something else, right? You need beef, and you need a cookbook, right? Different allocation, different resources. Okay, we're getting off topic. So one of the issues is, it used to be the case that we were given stories and music as examples to remind us to live the correct life, to stay on the path. So that the story, a good story, would remind us of the path, making choices, decisions, growing up, answering moral questions. Music would be to inspire you, to take you to higher places, to talk about relationships and love and motivation, ambition. You know, music inspires, it comforts you, it soothes you, it helps your vibration. It used to be, because the system, this is one thing we've talked about, that many aspects of the earth feel like a prison because the system has been corrupted. things have been turned upside down. Processes have been turned inside out. Things have been twisted. We've been manipulated. Information has been withheld and censored. And we've been force-fed the wrong information. Our food has been processed and corrupted. And now it's being genetically engineered. Our air is being, poisoned with unknown chemicals. The system has been corrupted in many ways. And that's caused us to disconnect from what I'm talking about. That we should know that we came here by choice to learn things. And the reason we want to learn is because we want to graduate. So we've lost that connection. Today, stories, I used to watch a movie to learn things, to understand things, to see what it's like about making proper decisions, looking through moral conundrums, how to deal with relationships. But movies today are not about stories. They're about making money. So the writers are not telling the stories to help society. They're telling stories to make money at the box office. So the system has been corrupted. Because stories are a gift. Stories were meant to inspire, educate, elevate people. A good story. But good stories don't make money. So if a movie needs to make $1 billion at the box office, it's going to have no story whatsoever. Right? Or it's going to be very, very boiled down to the lowest common denominator. You, my friend. I'm your friend. We won. Ooh, yes. There's no complexity to it. And it's true that if you write a good story, it's not going to make $1 billion. That's a fact. The question is, does your film need to make $1 billion for it to be a good film? Music is the same. Music is not the same. Music is not inspiring people. It's not helping everybody. Music is selling sex, and it's partying. Music is about party. It's about sex. It's about feeling sexy. It's about wanting to have sex. It's about feeling good, just for the sake of feeling good, rather than having a song that makes people feel good. A good song normally makes you feel good, rather than, a naked woman dancing in a music video. It's very different. I'm not saying there's no place for big movies and party music. I'm saying that there's too much of it, is my view. And the result is that we've forgotten this other part, this other more spiritual part. But companies are making a lot of money, so there's a trade-off. So that makes it a challenge for you if you're trying to find yourself, if you're not happy with your career, if you don't know why you're here. It's a challenge for you because you go to a movie or you read a book or you listen to music to help you, but there's no help. And a lot of people now go to the classics, and they go to the songs from the 70s, because there's nothing in the modern day that inspires and really, takes you somewhere else. And that's your proof We're going to the 70s and the 80s looking for inspiration because we can't find it in the 2017. The music just does not dig deep enough. And movies are becoming more and more pointless. But they make money. Right? Well, some of them make money. But people are watching movies and listening to music, and they're realizing this stuff is garbage. But I got nothing else to watch, and I want to go out Saturday night, and I'm watching this piece of garbage. Because if the movie's not about making money, there's an agenda. There's a statement. You know, now it's the feminism. And it's the minority. You know, it's always there's an agenda behind the movie. We have a statement to make. Let's get back to telling stories. That's kind of my thing. My thing is about tell the story, and let's reduce these agenda-driven political movies and this party music that's kind of endless repetition. That's not music. That's called a headache. And that's why we're all on painkillers. I mean, you wonder why the painkiller epidemic? Because we are in pain. Because we can't find the way out. Because the stories and the movies and the books and the music, there's no way out. You're just going around in a circle. And that's been corrupted. It's been distorted. And that's why this video is hard to make. Because I'm trying to get back to stuff that we should be doing. Now, some people will see my video and they'll say, you know what, when I hear you talk about that, I've always believed that. They'll say, oh, deep down, I've always believed it. And I will say, well, why don't you talk about it? Why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't other people in this field, the light workers, teachers, esoteric teachers and metaphysicians, if you know this stuff, why aren't you teaching this stuff? About incarnation and reincarnation, about coming here to learn, about your incarnation contracts, about the fact that you came here by choice. That's big. I think that's big. You came here by choice. But I married a jerk, and my kids hate me, and my job is crap. Yeah, why? What is the lesson? What's it trying to teach you? Because obviously, if you're having a lot of trouble, you're not learning the lesson. Because your situation is teaching you something, and the more serious the situation is, the worse student you are. The more critical and drastic your life is, it's a more of an indication that you are not learning the lesson. Well, you say, well, I don't like my career. I hate it. Well, then change it. But I can't. Why not? Change it. Make some refinements. Make some adjustments. You're a celebrity. You don't want to be a celebrity. You've been forced into it. Yeah, they forced you by hook and chain. Grabbed you. And made you a celebrity and made you famous and said, here's $1 million. Do something else. You know, you can do a Jerry Maguire. You know Jerry Maguire? He was a famous sports agent. And he felt empty. He had an awakening. And he said, I'm going to go small. Small clients, fewer clients, better relationships. Now, you're a big celebrity. Maybe go small. I'm going to write better songs. I'm going to sell fewer albums. And your music studio corporation is going to say, if you do that, You are in contradiction of your contract, and we will be forced to end our relationship. And you look at all the people you're paying and all the people behind you and all your fans, and you go, oh, it's a conundrum. Yes, it is. It's a multi-billion-dollar conundrum, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. Do Jerry Maguire, because maybe that's why you're not happy. You're not happy with party music because it's pointless, it's senseless, it's stupid. And maybe movies, you need to make more movies that have good stories and fewer movies that make billions and billions of dollars. I mean, that's a fine balance, right? It is a fine balance, but you're there. You're there for a reason. Okay. So there's the Jerry Maguire. Okay, I think, I'm just checking to see, make sure we got everything. The media, I think we covered it all. I think we got it. A little bit long today. I think, ultimately the life you're living is the life you've chosen. That's my baseline. Quite likely, because the system is corrupt, you are probably a little bit off track, right? And you may have to make some fine tuning. If you are way off track, you might need an overhaul. You might need to go detox, stop taking the heroin, cocaine, opioids. Stop taking the fucking opioids, okay? I'm not a doctor, but I think if you're in pain, if you're in spiritual pain, you're gonna, right? If you're spiritually, you're trying to wake up, and that would mean changing your life, and that would mean losing your superficial friends and losing all the comforts. Then you got to quiet that voice by the drugs and the alcohol, right? Because maybe you're spiritually trying to wake up, but that would mean change. That could mean big change. I speak change. I've gone through a lot of changes, a lot of low points in my life, and I'm not the epitome of success. But what I've tried to do is I've tried to follow that path, which is a more difficult path. It's a path that is not so well received, and it doesn't have a lot of comforts. I don't think many people are like me in terms of the extremity of it and talking about all kind of alternative things. So if I can go through this extreme life, you can go through your life, which is probably a lot more comfortable than mine. Probably a lot easier than mine. So, my knowledge comes from going through some very challenging experiences. Things that have no explanation. There's no discussion. They're classified. They're beyond imagination. I mean, I've done those things. And I've also done the other stuff, the financial hardship and relationships. I've done all that too. I don't think you'll have as many of those as me. So you should be okay. But you do need to remember, you want to graduate. Be careful of your karma. And make sure you do what you're supposed to do. That's the important thing. It may not be what you like. You might have to do things out of your comfort zone. You may lose a few friends. But then maybe that friendships are going to end. And finally, if you're here on your last life, you want to make sure you fulfill your obligation. Otherwise, you're going to come back, and you don't want to come back. If you're here in your last life And there's quite a few of us. I think I'm here on my last life. So that's why I've decided just to accept it, all that stuff, all the hardship, and to talk about all these crazy things, because that's my obligation. That's what's in my contract. And if I don't do it, I'm going to have to come back and do it anyway. And I'm going to be more miserable. So if you're here in your last life and you know you are, and if you're not sure, you're probably not. Try to fulfill your obligation, protect your karma, because that's important. And then you want to graduate. You want to graduate because previous lives, we've been corrupted, we've been distracted, we've been tossed off the path, and we didn't graduate. We didn't fulfill our contracts. And so we've been brought back to do what we were supposed to do before. The system has been corrupted. It is still corrupt. So it's a bit of a challenge. But hopefully you have enough of your spiritual memory to stay on course and take the necessary steps, nothing violent, the necessary steps to graduate Earth. I think that's